to order. So we'll do. Okay, I'll repeat. At this time, I'd like to call the public council meeting to order. We'll do roll call. Everyone's here. Mayor McNamara may join us in a few minutes. We have item C. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the agenda? Noted. If not, we'll move forward to item D. The purpose of the meeting is to hear public comment on a zoning bylaw amendment application, which has been submitted for 2054 square meters, properly situated on the west side of Shane Street, approximately 21 meters north of its intersection with Dillon Drive, 165 Shen Street. So we have Mr. Bavetta here as a delegation, the applicant, regarding a zoning bylaw amendment. I'd like to welcome Mr. Bavetta. Yep. At this time, you can turn your mute button off. I believe.
Hi.
Hello,
everybody.
This evening. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So at this time, is there anything, Mr. Bavetta, you'd like to share with the council, at the committee here?
Deputy Mayor,
No, I'm just.
Close.
if I could, please, normally we would have the planning manager just present the report if we could, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
Mr.
okay.
Bavetta can weigh in after
Yeah,
that.
I was just following the agenda, item E and F. So we'll, so do you want me to bring up item G, the reports at this time?
Well, actually, I think if you could just call on Chad, he'll take you through the report and then allow the delegation to speak to the report, but it save the delegation from having to present the whole report on its own.
Okay, can we receive the communications before the reports or do that after?
I would say just let Chad speak and then Mr.
Okay.
Bavetta, and then we'll do the communications following
Very
that.
good. Okay, thank you. So Mr. Jeffrey, if you can bring up forward the report on the zoning bylaw amendment this evening.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and good evening, members of council. Sean, if you could please put up attachment number 1 for me. Thank you. So Mr. Bavetta is the owner of 165 Shane Street, which is outlined in red here. And that's a roughly 22,000 square foot parcel on the west side of Shane, just north of Dillon Drive. It contains an approximate 1,300 square foot existing dwelling at the northeast corner, as well as a relatively large accessory structure, about 2,500 square feet behind that building in the northwest corner of the site. And that structure was historically used as an automobile body repair garage. Attachment 2, please, Sean. So this shows the subject property in the context of the surrounding neighborhood. The yellow denotes low density residential, so it's predominantly low density residential. However, there is a commercial node at Riverside with its intersection of L'Esperance and Shane Street. Attachment 3, please. So in August of this year, the Committee of Adjustment provided provisional consent to create the severed parcel you see outlined in red there. And that was for 16.8 meter or 55 foot frontage and an area of roughly 9,400 square feet. And to retain the existing residential lot with the existing dwelling and accessory structures. And that, as you can see on this attachment, has frontage of 22.7 meters or roughly 75 feet and a lot area of about 12,800 square feet. Attachment 4, please, Sean. The property is designated residential in the town's official plan. And if you turn to attachment 5, you'll see that it's zoned residential zone R3-3, which is a site-specific zoning that permits various residential uses, including singles, semis, and townhouses. But it also permits that existing automobile body repair garage that I noted earlier. And for that reason, one of the conditions of consent was that the property be rezoned to remove the permitted use of an automobile body repair garage. The owner agreed to that condition but noted that he would like a limited range of small and fairly innocuous commercial uses within 500 square feet of that 2,500 square foot detached garage. And the types of uses that he was considering were general professional offices, pet groomer, a baker, chef, caterer, childcare provider, and a yoga studio. He was also requesting that the severed lot be allowed to have a 40% lot coverage as opposed to the maximum lot coverage of 30% that the bylaw currently establishes. So the application tonight is, and if Sean, if you can go back to attachment 3 for me. Thank you, is to rezone the northerly portion from R3-3 to a site-specific R3 zone to remove the automobile body repair garage use and to add a limited range of commercial uses within 500 square feet of that detached accessory structure, and to rezone the severed parcel outlined in red to allow to also remove the permitted use of an automobile body repair garage and to establish a maximum lot coverage of 40%. The proposal is generally consistent with the provincial policy statement and the County of Essex official plan. And its residential designation in the official plan does not permit, of course, the automobile body repair garage, but there's a section under 10.12 in the official plan entitled existing land uses and buildings. And this section recognizes that there are certain uses out there that don't conform to the permitted uses in the official plan, but allows for the zoning to recognize those existing uses. It also allows for those uses to be, the property to be rezoned to permit something that is as compatible or more compatible with the surrounding land uses, provided it meets a number of criteria. And those criteria include the building lawfully existed at the date of adoption of the plan, that the uses permitted don't interfere with the desirable development or enjoyment of neighboring properties, which is an important one. And we'll hear more about some of those concerns tonight. That the use does not constitute a danger to surrounding uses because of its hazard nature or traffic that it generates, and that the zoning bylaw reasonably limits the amount of expansion that's permitted to ensure that the use doesn't become large and would be appropriate for the area. And that's the reason for the limit of 500 square feet on that proposed commercial component. 10.18 of the official plan establishes the amendment procedures, and that includes that it meets the provincial policy statement and the policies of the town official plan, which we believe it does, that it's compatible with the surrounding area, that it's able to be serviced with town infrastructure, that the transportation system is adequate to accommodate the use. And we believe that in general, subject to hearing comments tonight and addressing those comments to the satisfaction of council, that the proposed amendment satisfies those criteria. After tonight's meeting, we propose to do a follow-up report to council with a recommendation and a draft zoning bylaw amendment. At this time, Mr. Maris, you're in the room with us now. I'm available to answer any questions if council has.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jeffries. Members of council, any questions or comments on the opening introduction remarks from Mr. Jeffrey? Yes, Councillor Dowie, Councillor Tonio.
Thank you, Worship, and through you to Chad. Thank you very much for the presentation. And it's like it's got a lot of there's a lot of merit to this conversion. Certainly, we see from the correspondence that the body shop was not a welcome part of the neighborhood and something that's certainly not a destination business, but one more so that's going to be just a smaller operation and certainly better than the status quo. But I did want to ask a question about the severed lot. So the 40% ask, are there comparable cases in the neighborhood where this has been granted, or even if not in the neighborhood, within a similar residential zone.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Dowie. Yeah, the Committee of Adjustment has granted relief up to 40% in the past for areas within the former town of Tecumseh. In fact, the St. Clair Beach zoning bylaw establishes a maximum lot coverage of 40%. It seems to work well there. So we believe that this lot can accommodate that 40%, and that, in fact, there are cases within the surrounding neighborhood where that type of relief has been granted recently.
Thank you.
All right, Councilor Tonio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Question to Chad. Parking is a concern. Basically, some of the citizens have concerns around the area about commercial being in the residential area, which already has been. We're changing the type of commercial possibly. Parking, 500 square feet is probably one office, correct, in size roughly. So what do you perceive as parking? You think it'll be an issue, not an issue, that type of thing?
Given the size of the proposed commercial space and the types of uses that are permitted, we don't believe it will be, and we believe that there are areas on site to accommodate parking. Parking minimums for this site can be established in the draft zoning bylaw for council's consideration. What might even be more helpful is at the time that this report comes back to council, we could have a concept illustrating where that parking could be accommodated and how it's buffered and mitigated from any potential impacts to budding neighbors.
So
But
there'll be more discussion
original,
once we know more. Yeah, once we know more, will be more discussion, correct? Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions to Mr. Jeffries? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a question there. Well, first a comment, the couple of communications that were received, they're talking about not allowing commercial there. Well, it's already commercially zoned, so that's a non-argument for me. The property has that title, and I think doing a commercial swap with permitted limited uses is in the best interest of that property and that neighborhood. Just a question regarding the IRCA notice. I know we purchased that rescue vehicle. Obviously, that's helped the situation here. However, does the applicant need to go to IRCA for a hearing for ingress egress, or is that something that moving forward that'll be part of the report if he needs to get another authority approval for this rezoning?
through Mr. Mayor to the Deputy Mayor, it's not a requirement for the rezoning, but through the permitting process, they'll have to go to IRCA. But there's a movement to provide more of a blanket approval for these types of uses, knowing that we've purchased the deep water rescue vehicle and that we can address safe access to the satisfaction of IRCA.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, and I think Deputy Mayor as well, IRCA will set the whatever new building, especially the new building, will set the elevation from that area. So that's part of the permit. They'll tell them, that your point of entry of water has to be X feet above sea level, and I think it's around 576 or 577, somewhere in that area. So because it's in the floodplain. Yeah, and how I know that, my son just built a house not that long ago, and that's exactly what he had to do, and to get the permit. And so, okay, if there's no further questions to Mr. Jeffries, I believe Mr. Bavetta, I think you'd want to address the delegation. My only comment is I certainly agree with some of the comments that were made, and nice to see that the commercial piece, in particular, the body shop and that being eliminated. I think that's a real plus. And, I could see this being an accountant or a professional office, certainly in that area, that makes a whole lot of sense. But Anyway, I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to address council.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm excited to move forward on my project. I want to build our home and also the commercial part. Yeah, I just wanted to have that in place. I have, for example, my sister does yoga. She would, if she wanted to open up something, I have my stepson also down the road, and he's 17 in high school. He might need it for something. And I feel strong and good about having a small maybe business opportunity for say somebody down the road for that. And the neighborhood, I would always be very accommodable to any of them. And also I find that by removing this auto body, which I wouldn't want to live around also, is a plus for the neighborhood. And I think they should all be very happy. Moving forward, if I have to, address Urca one more time, again, after this, I've been waiting for the rescue vehicle to come into place, which I thank council and for working so diligent and hard. I've been waiting for quite a while now, and it's finally coming to fruition. And I'm pleased moving forward.
Well, certainly we agree, and I can attest that I think going through IRCA this time, it will be less painful and certainly more accommodating. And we do have the chair of IRCA that sits on our council, Councilor Jobin.
She's worked very hard. I thank her too. Yes.
Yes, for sure. And the deputy mayor certainly as well. So.
Yes.
Any further questions to Mr. Bavetta?
Okay.
Yes, Councilor Dowie.
Thank you, Worship, through you to Mr. Bavetta. Thank you for coming by tonight. And I think you answered my question. I just was hoping to get some clarity. So the business, the type of business that you envision would be that single practitioner sort of business. So yeah, yoga studio with potentially small class or a professional. That's the kind of market that you're looking for. Is that correct understanding?
Yes, correct. Yeah, and if something was to of course would always be brought up to your attention, properly, and for any kind of businesses that would be moving forward. But I just wanted to have it in place. There's going for now. There probably will be nothing going on for a little while, until I get the main project of the home being built there first, adjacent to the building.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions? Then we'll move on to communications. Members of council, we do have 5 pieces of communication. If I could have that's listed on the agenda for October 26th, a public council meeting agenda be received as presented. That's moved by Councilor Tonio, Councilor Jobin, support. No further questions or comments. All in favor? Opposed, if any of that's carried. We'll move on to reports. We have PBS 2021-45, the zoning bylaw amendment for 165 Shane Street and scheduling of a public meeting. So the motion to receive the report, and that the report entitled the zoning bylaw amendment 165 Shane Street, including scheduling of a public meeting, be received. So that's moved by Deputy Mayor Becchetti, and it is supported by Councilor Tonio. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. And if there's no further questions or comments, then adjournment is certainly in order. Councilor Houston and Councilor Jobin, all in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. All right, so